Hey, welcome to Movie Night Autopsy. My name is Sam.
I'm Chad.
I'm Aaron.
And we are here to talk about art and film. Today it's more TV related, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But the point is that we're all here to talk about a thing that we all sat down and took part in, and we're gonna share that with you, the listener. But first, let's go ahead and get this part out of the way. We are drinking some beers tonight.
Yeah, I think we're moving around a little bit of the beer cooler.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
a couple different things.
We've gotten pretty deep into the beer situation.
We're deep into the beers.
So I think that's a good way to, get into the subject matters at hand.
Oh man, yeah.
Oh man, what do you want, Sam?
The movies are always accompanied by beers, or usually they are, but for this particular experience, we definitely had to get down on some beers. What beer are we drinking today? You got the can in front of you.
I got some J-Dubs Brewing Company out of Sarasota, Florida. The Up Top IPA. I bought it because it was $8.99 at Publix, and it's pretty tasty, and I don't regret it.
Well, all right then. I get this.
Are we all on that? Are we all on the same train?
Oh yeah, I think
we on the J-Dub train. All right.
J-Dub train.
I had some of that Green Man Porter you gave me earlier.
Oh yeah.
I
went to Asheville last weekend and stopped by Green Man. That was a fantastic
lovely
beer.
place.
Yeah, oh yeah. Shout out to Asheville.
Absolutely.
Oh man, like craft beer capital of the country.
Just a beautiful place.
But anyways, I think we just need to get right into it and just cut right to the chase here. I mean, can anyone calm down from BoJack Horseman Season 5?
Not this season. Other seasons maybe. Not this season.
Not Season 5.
Ain't happening, bro.
This
is fresh. Oh my god.
We literally just watched it.
This show has...
the last two episodes. We just watched the last two episodes.
This show has done so much cruelty to people who watch it, but I think the worst is ending season 4 on such a
spoiler
hopeful
alert,
note.
by the way. Spoiler alert for the entire series. Like, so there's
every
nothing.
episode.
Nothing is off limits here.
Yeah.
So just a heads up as far as that goes.
Oh yeah.
But yes, you're right. Season 4 ends like
such a hopeful note, and you have one moment of sweetness, and you actually feel kind of like crying in a happy way, and that's the end of that season.
You feel good for BoJack. You feel hopeful for BoJack.
This season is so dark.
Oh man, darkest season, darkest timeline,
darkest timeline ever.
It's the only timeline. It's the darkest timeline.
Oh, it's rough.
But at this point, it's not even just BoJack. Everybody's bringing down everybody.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny.
And themselves. Everybody is their own worst enemy too.
Yeah. Oh god, they barely have any scenes with each other at this point. They're just kind of having scenes explaining what bad things happen in other scenes.
Yeah.
With other new characters. So like the group's bullshit has grown to other people.
Oh man.
Even BoJack's one episode with Hollyhock, which you think maybe
I was hoping for more Hollyhock, but I really liked the episode that we got.
She's a great character, and
it's very effective.
But yes, the character we got was perfect in exemplifying the kind of person BoJack is. That it doesn't matter how much he wants to be a good brother. It doesn't matter how much that he actually loves her. He's not going to say that because he knows that he's so toxic
He can't.
He's going to suck her down into his terrible, terrible world.
But but does that become a self-fulfilling prophecy though?
Oh, absolutely.
Like I mean, do you believe that BoJack is just destined to do bad things, or do you think that he just doesn't think that he can do better, so he just falls into a cycle of doing bad things?
Could it be possibly a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B?
Yeah,
little column B.
I mean, his whole life he's been trained to think of himself as a certain way by terrible parentage and just,
Oh yeah, his parents are just the worst.
And just the toxic environment of Hollywood itself.
Even after last season, you get so much more insight into why BoJack's mom is the way that she is, because like her childhood was terrible.
Yeah.
It's just a long line of awful childhoods.
And that really opened up a lot for his character, for you, the audience, to see where he's coming from, why he behaves in his relationships the way he does, because he thinks of himself as a broken, terrible person who only brings nothing but ruin because that's what his parents taught him.
Like he's always been broken.
Exactly.
Like he was born broken.
And he doesn't think he can do any better, so he uses it as an excuse to not be better.
And that's why we got into entertainment in the first place. He's looking for validation. That's what a lot of performers are doing. They're just looking for validation. And I mean, like BoJack's character is absolutely no different.
It's so sad, and the way the dark places that this season took near the end, those last 2 episodes.
Seriously,
I'm glad you made me wait.
But darkest season throughout. It's not just those 2 episodes.
It's also the best season so far since season 1 or 2, man.
Man,
It's
I don't know
good.
that I'm ready to say best season, but to me the gold standard is season 2.
Yeah,
It
it's
had-
a great season. Season 1's so heavy hitting, but this is
Well, season 1 they're working out the kinks.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like it's a very effective first
But-
season, but they're definitely working the kinks
by
out.
season 5, it's like everything's been figured out long in advance, and everything's just flowing to like a weird. Like if they said, "Hey, that's it for BoJack Horseman," that's a pretty good ending.
Yeah,
It
BoJack
really
goes to
is.
rehab.
If-
I mean,
if it's more, we're skipping ahead of ourselves.
I
If
mean,
it
yeah,
turns
like-
into more like a Breaking Bad situation, then hey, this show did really well.
No, I think we're seeing more of the show.
But yeah, we are.
I
Gonna see
think
more
I think
show.
it's too successful.
I think this season, I don't know if it in and of itself is the best season, but I would say it easily has the best 2 episodes. Free Churro. Like, can we talk about Free
We're
Churro?
gonna talk about Free Churro.
That was
are we gonna get
amazing.
into episodes right now.
Just in and of itself, that was a fantastic episode. It was it did something that you don't really see, where it's just a monologue.
Yeah, it's so bold.
It's just a straightforward monologue.
With the exception of the cold open. The cold open, it really gives us our only. I can't think of another time in the series where we've seen a one-on-one with BoJack and his dad.
Oh my god.
It's usually BoJack's dad and BoJack's mom,
Yeah.
and BoJack's just kind of there being abused in the corner.
And then like BoJack's mom will come in and talk to BoJack. You know, like she'll give some kind of dark, hateful monologue
Yeah.
that breaks him a little bit more. But we don't see a whole lot of BoJack's dad to BoJack.
Yeah.
I
we-
think that's true of his childhood too.
And
They
we-
just didn't talk a lot.
Right, and we do get that at the beginning of this episode. We get them in a car
And that
It's
was
still technically a monologue.
But-
that
kinda,
made
sort of.
that
Yeah,
made it
'cause-
really rough.
because BoJack, it's young BoJack in a car getting picked up from soccer practice or whatever, and he doesn't say anything, but
Oh,
his
just butterscotch rambling on.
butterscotch gives him a really harsh, just self-centered lecture about man.
Because he's
Nothing.
he's the source of all his problems. BoJack is the source of all his problems.
Yep.
It's so
Oh,
it's
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
twisted, like what he put into that kid's head.
Yeah, you go back to season 4, you realize they got married.
That's
right?
why
Because-
That's
yeah.
why he never sees
They
himself.
got
as
they got
anything
married
worthwhile.
because she got pregnant.
Yeah, so he is. Yeah, so to him, BoJack is the source of all his problems. That's awful.
And
Yeah.
he gets home from work and he's got a couple of
rough.
hours there to dedicate to writing. You know, and he really had a good run going. he had the sentence he was working on
a run on sentence for like
He-
7 pages.
for pages. Like he had pages of a sentence, and he was just thinking how rare it is to get in such a good groove.
You know
So
why
many-
that's
there's
rare not
so
to have?
many
You know
laser
why
layers.
that's rare?
Because it
that's
sucks.
awful. It's just
No, there's so many layers to
Because-
like everything they
Bad
throw in.
writing.
There.
That's not how you do that.
your name's not Kerouac. Even
Seriously,
then,
it does.
come on.
It doesn't work for Burroughs. It doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
Get over yourself. But oh man,
my
that's that episode's bold. But this episode, this season has a lot of really bold episodes. Like
Absolutely.
There's
like-
not. There's. It's like half and half of like episodes with interesting concept versus standard episodes that just tell the story.
yeah, they
Almost.
they
It's almost
definitely
bit for bit.
they definitely play with episode formats a lot. Not
Which I love when they do
not
that.
just in that, but like the dog days are over. The second episode, that's where we see Diane dealing with the aftermath of her divorce with Mr. Peanut Butter.
Yeah, they get right into it in the season right away. So the first episode kind of catches everyone up. BoJack's got a hit show.
Well, he's working on a show.
He's working on a show. They're
They're
wondering if it's
filming
going to
it.
be a hit. He's dating his co-star.
He starts the relationship
Yeah.
with his co-star Gina. You meet Flip, the pretentious showrunner, head
Yeah.
writer, director.
Worst character in the show.
I mean, he's great, but he's great because you hate him.
This fucking
You
scumbag.
say that about
and
a
you're,
lot of characters.
and you're
in the
supposed
show.
to, but man, I'm so excited to see that guy play
Uh-huh.
Freddie Mercury in November.
Oh yeah, so it's Rami Malek plays Flip,
Yeah,
and Stephanie Beatrice from
Brooklyn Nine-Nine, y'all.
Oh yeah.
She's awesome.
Oh, I mean,
She's so great.
I love that whole cast, but she's one of my favorites.
Yeah, she is.
Yes. Absolutely.
So that's doing that. So the second episode, you get to Diane, and by this point, Diane and Mr. Peanut Butter has split up, and she goes to find herself in Vietnam. Is
I mean,
that
it was very heavily implied that they were going to split up at the end of last season.
Yeah, but isn't it like in this episode, it seemed towards the end?
Oh well, I think the first scene of the episode, like Diane's in the car, Mr. Peanut Butter. Mr. Peanut Butter's dropping her off and hands her the papers. Like, well, here you go. Papers are all good and signed. And he's just like, and she's like, yeah, take that, our marriage.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
The joke's bad and the pun's bad, and now you
man.
feel sad.
So now you just feel bad about all of it.
Yeah.
Suddenly you realize Diane does not know how to emote.
Nope.
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 You
see
think that would be
the
a problem?
you see the thing about
Not a problem at all.
the thing about hey, that is hey, we do not own that. We can't.
Sorry.
We do not own that. We
But
can't
we
use
don't know
it.
that.
All right. We love you. We love you, though, Scream Rant.
The thing about this show is that no one is really good at doing anything.
They're good at stuff. Like, here's the deal. I'm sure if this was to become more like a documentary, there are hundreds of hours of all these people being good at something, usually their job. It's just that that's not interesting. They got to be good at something because they still are alive and functioning, and a lot of them are
That's
successful, but,
not
like,
what I
that's-
mean.
oh, okay, sorry.
That's
a different thing then.
Not what I mean. But all right, so yeah, like it starts off, BoJack. One thing to note about BoJack and his new show is that we see him on set, but we're looking at the set, and the set looks exactly like his living room.
That's right.
Oh, it's amazing.
And it's just a slight beginning of crossover between reality and fiction.
Slowly.
Yeah, and he's looking around. He's like, "Why does this look like my living room?" He's like, "I never been to your living room. It's just supposed to look. It's supposed to reflect like the grittiness of the character." And then it turns out that the set director had once been to David Boreanaz's house for a tour.
And that's like a reference to like season 1, right?
I think it was season 1. Whenever Todd and Princess Carolyn were they had his house set up like David Boreanaz's house. Yeah,
They're trying to make a bit of a scratch.
God damn it, BoJack Horseman.
It's so deep on the bits, even not just the emotion, but the bits. Like jokes will go back.
They
to the beginning of the show.
doubled down on the bits.
Oh god,
And the
bits.
puns. Oh, the puns.
And it just
God, I love the
doesn't
puns.
stop.
We could talk about just the puns, and it'll just be us reading a list of jokes, and that would take an hour.
I really liked how they jumped around in time quite a bit, and they used.
And they do that in a couple episodes. Not
Yeah,
just,
well, they
just this one.
They were parallels to like this was going on while this was going on, and you don't see the whole story until you see the next
yeah.
episode, and it adds so much more to it.
And well, in this one, it's
Those-
like you see a little bit of the post the divorce is official, and Diane goes off to
Yeah.
find herself. But then you see a little bit more of the Diane first moves out of Mr. Peanut Butter's house, and like she hasn't quite gotten to that point yet, and they try to go out like as a divorced couple just to like talk or whatever. I don't know what they're doing.
Closure. Yes, I don't know.
No, and they're sitting at the table, and they're even talking about like how good they are at it.
That's the
You
thing.
remember the scene I'm talking about?
Neither
God.
character,
Oh, yeah.
neither character knows how to properly emote at all.
Correct.
Yeah, neither character can deal with the emotions.
No.
Neither one is
Mr.
good
Peanut
at it.
Butter just denies the bad ones and just goes for everything positive, and she doesn't even allow herself to experience the good ones. She's
probably what made
constantly
him laugh
second
so
guessing
much.
herself.
That's all he's able to do is
It's-
process good emotions. He has to feel good all the time, and he has to be liked by everybody.
We forget
Like
that.
it's almost like he's a Labrador Retriever.
We forget that
Almost
he's a
like
golden
he's a
retriever.
Labrador Retriever.
Yeah, I mean, like that's just to be honest. If we anthropomorphize golden retriever right now, they do the same thing.
Oh,
Like it's one of the most honest characters because of that.
I think that's they really have managed to use the whole animal anthropomorphic thing the best way possible. Is they take a character and they know exactly what animal to give that character attributes of.
So
Oh,
like
yeah.
the animal angle on the show, which is the first thing people notice, it works.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're how
4
far
or
into
5
this, and we
different
haven't even we've just assumed to this point that we haven't mentioned that at all.
What
The animal thing.
Oh yeah.
Like we're just
did.
now mentioning that. We've just assumed that it's like, oh yeah, BoJack Horseman.
Oh yeah, you guys know
know
their animals, right?
God, it's
know.
with the name BoJack Horseman.
I mean, I assume when you say spoiler alert, it's not only giving you details about the plot, but that you also should know what the hell we're talking about.
Oh, I hope they would do this one.
yeah.
I just think it's funny that that's how long it took for any of it to come up.
We just jumped into it.
Yeah.
By the way, horse people.
Yeah.
By the way,
I was shocked by all the horse people.
Another tally, folks. Another tally.
Half of these podcasts are referencing the other podcasts.
Oh, and most of them are just referencing "Sorry to bother you."
There's so many reasons to reference that.
So moving on, we get a little bit of Todd's story after this. We get some Todd's story.
Oh, they really move in on this thing of Todd, of just the wacky antics he has day to day.
Oh, they double down on the Todd antics.
But you hear about a lot of them.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Like there's this episode that kind of feels like an episode of Frasier.
That's what you were saying. Yeah,
Because
Good God, Todd.
Because Todd and his asexual girlfriend Yolanda, they're both asexual. They're going to Yolanda's parents' house, and her parents are like weirdly sex positive.
Yeah, like
they're so with it.
Her mom's a porn star. Her dad is like
an
erotic
adult
photographer,
novelist.
And
the sister is an adult columnist, or like a sex advice columnist.
Yeah. So they're super sex positive, more than any like family.
And they want nothing more than for their daughter to find a man who she loves, who can just give it to her under their roof.
Yes, it's a big deal for her. It's kind of like back in the day when they had arranged marriages, like they found a suitor.
Yeah,
it's that level of intense for this family.
And so whenever two asexuals get there, they're having to keep up appearances that they are in fact having sex.
It is a wacky sitcom,
and it's just
plot.
so wacky, especially once it gets like towards the end of the evening, and Todd's trying to go to bed, and he walks into the mom tries hitting on him. Mm-hmm. And then the sister tries hitting on him.
But the sister's also trying to appear like her sister, Todd's
because they're
girlfriend,
twins.
Because they're twins, to trick them. And then, meanwhile, Todd's girlfriend tries to look like her sister to convince their mom that they had sex, even though they hadn't, because she's asexual.
And then, like, the sisters end up, like, independently deciding that they're going to switch and play the other sister and try to have sex with Todd.
It's like a weird Olsen twin, like 90s sitcom.
No, like
foible.
it's like an episode of Frasier. Like
that cabin episode
with Todd going in and out of doors.
Yeah. The episode where they go out to the
ridiculous.
mountains and everyone. Yeah, that's a good. Episode.
I feel like they were using.
It's funny. It's a funny
really
episode.
funny.
I feel like they were using the format of like a traditional sitcom like trope, and like these people they're suddenly stuck with the family in a kind of bottle episode situation in a cabin, and there's snow outside. And
it is a little bottle episode.
But it was using it to make fun of the whole concept of that kind of story, because it's a couple that really you don't see a lot. Like you wouldn't.
Well, they don't really work. They don't have anything in common.
And it was trying to make...
That's kind of what comes out by the end of the episode.
And I think that's what the episode was trying to make a point about. It doesn't make sense because there's not really anything going on there. Mm-hmm. So I think that the episode was being like super meta about itself.
Right.
Like so many BoJack episodes
yeah, they just really are.
It's so overly complicated for no reason.
But they did a good job of using all those traditional tropes to make that kind of episode.
Not only that, by the time they get into really the all gee shucks foible of the end of it, of everyone going indoors, and then there's this big like crazy, kind of like Benny Hill like physical comedy bit. Their house of the sex positive sea monkey house looks like a set. There's like a big banister second floor of all the doors and a big staircase going down directly into their living room. If they went into the kitchen, there'd be another staircase going up there. Because
why are there two staircases? We don't know.
We don't know. It's just that's how 90s sitcoms work. So the show starts to visually reinforce an idea at a point.
Yes.
Of what you were saying, of not just making it feel that way, it starts to kind of dictate that feeling through how it looks.
Yeah.
And that's called brainwashing, and television is really good at that.
Well, anyway, also in this episode we meet Pickles,
Oh God,
Oh,
Pickles.
Pickles.
The
Oh,
waitress.
poor thing.
Oh, Pickles.
who
Pickles.
starts dating
Mr. Peanut Butter.
an ill-fated she starts an ill-fated relationship with Mr. Peanut Butter.
Everybody's
Dogs.
favorite terrible character.
Oh man, we haven't really seen him in full like swing of just being awful yet.
I think I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but like it's definitely by the end of the season, you're just like, wow, he was awful.
Oh no,
He's a bad person.
He is one of the worst by the end of this season. Like the last scene you see him in, it's like it's just
Like-
utterly despicable.
It's
He's
like
utterly
like
despicable.
you're looking at the kind of things this guy's doing, and ultimately like it's because he's a coward because he can't like do the things that he needs to do in that situation. We'll get to it, but like you watch it happen, and all you can think is like, is this really the guy who hosted Hollywood stars and celebrities? What do they know? Do they know things? Let's find out.
Well, because he's such a friendly guy and he seems so forgiving, is that you don't notice this pattern of self-serving.
Here's the thing, real quick. Call me Kevin McAllister from the Home Alone movies because I don't think so.
I'm gonna give you a minute to sit in that bed. We're just gonna let you
I thought it was appropriate.
enjoy your grin.
We're talking about BoJack. I thought it was appropriate. All right, sorry.
Because it was
Okay.
Please go ahead, Aaron. Go ahead with the point you were making.
Anything to get Sam to stop.
I'm sure that didn't derail your point entirely.
Clearly, Sam is back in the 90s. But but no, that was this season has been very good about showing exactly how his personal quirks are essentially toxic. And it doesn't seem so at first because all of these other characters have their flaws. Because you're thinking like, oh, he's just kind of doing his best around them. But this season really made it clear just how toxic his behavior can be.
You watch it happen.
And you
over the
see
course
it
of
and
the
you're
whole
like a
season.
little irritated with him once in a while. And you just kind of let it go because it's like, well, at least he's the nicest one around. But no.
It comes out a lot more like in this season. Like it's just.
Have we gotten to the Halloween episode yet?
No, I was about to bring that up.
Because Halloween episode is like what really makes
it's
you
in the
believe that.
second half of the season, but
Okay.
it definitely brings a lot of that up.
That you see more of that. It really
and
kind
talk
of
about time jumping and stuff.
Oh God.
This season's great at that.
wonderfully done.
This season is great at that.
That was great.
Oh, but moving on. That's right, moving on. As the season carries on from that, like it goes into this thing where BoJack becomes a talking head in support of feminism for Hollywood.
I forgot about this.
Yeah,
episode.
that happened.
Yeah.
I did binge it all this weekend, just like because I was at the house doing stuff and I just let it roll.
So
I forgot about that.
Diane says something and then like BoJack repeats
Diane,
it.
what is
like,
her problem? That's a callback to season
and,
2.
and BoJack's giving an interview or something like that, and repeats the thing that Diane said earlier, and the entire room is just like, "Oh yeah, BoJack,
Yeah.
somebody needed to say that. You're so brave for putting that out there." And then he just like starts shouting buzzwords, going down that rabbit hole,
Doesn't
just
Princess
feeding
Caroline,
off the applause.
Doesn't Princess Caroline pitch the idea of Diane writing things for BoJack to say in news stories?
Yep.
Damn.
Yep.
Is that good? Is that bad?
That's the thing.
That's the episode. We don't know if it's good or bad.
That is the question that the
'Cause
episode is asking.
You're dealing with subject matter that needs to be dealt with, and someone needs to say it. But the messenger, not the message, the messenger is flawed.
It turns out that it was a good message all along. It just needed to come from a man.
When that's the thing, how it ends up at the end. Oh, I keep wanting to jump to the end because
Stop doing that!
But it's so informative of the rest of the season. How
Well, we
it's
haven't
like
gotten
it's
there yet.
foreshadowed.
We got to work
I'll
up to
tell
it.
you what. We'll get there, then we'll come back and we'll talk about all of it over again.
We'll round about.
We'll get up and get down.
We're gonna
Dude,
go for the
what?
record tonight.
Wait, really?
We're
have
gonna
to get, really?
What?
Whatever.
we're gonna move on from that one. Yes.
Hooba Jube going crazy over here.
You know what?
Booba Joob. Oh, and that's how you do that.
I hate you guys.
Yeah. So we get this whole like edgelord sequence where he's trying to walk around to do hard stuff, and
Oh my God.
it all backfires. Every tough thing that he tries to do ends up like helping somebody or making someone's day, or like making somebody laugh.
Yeah. Was that the whole thing of Princess Carolyn telling him that he's not tough enough for the
Dog Day Afternoon
remake, which is just should never happen, even in a pretend TV show.
Oh no! I want to see Mr. Peanut Butter and Dog Day Afternoon.
Oh my God.
I really do. I really do.
Hey, Leon. Hey, Leon. Leon, happy birthday.
Oh.
Leon, happy birthday. Leon.
So he's going around to doing that. We get a nice little sequence from that.
Attica.
Oh, what's that place? I believe it's Attica. Attica. Because he doesn't yell. He doesn't have to. He's Mr. Peanut Butter. He's got a handle on it. It's the most calm bank robbery ever. And it's got nothing to do with the episode you're trying to talk about, Sam. I'm sorry.
So then after all of that, we get this episode where it takes place a lot in the past, like in with Princess Carolyn's memories of being back home.
Oh my God, we're there. Okay.
That was
this
good.
Yeah.
is insane.
That was a good one.
That was going.
It's actually the best one for Princess Carolyn. I'm starting to.
I don't know. She had some good stuff last season too.
She's really
but
good.
this one was good.
like I'm rooting for her.
The Amelia Earhart story.
And you never really have seen a lot of her backstory.
What am I, made out of tapes?
So it was nice to see some of her backstory and see like why she behaves the way she does.
Right.
And it makes sense
That's
lot of her
that's
character.
a sad upbringing. That is a very sad upbringing. And like we know that she's had what 3 miscarriages. We know that because last season they tried to have a baby and
She couldn't have it.
Yeah,
So
and she
yeah.
had
Couldn't.
one with the jock dude that she was gonna marry, but
the fox.
and that that scene with her mom where her mom basically tells her like your miscarriage is like
it's your fault.
yeah, it's
What
your
did
fault
you
and
do?
you ruined our opportunity.
that was our
God.
ticket to a better life.
That was so
Oh man,
that was
props
so
to props
brutal.
to Amy Sedaris for the voice acting for that.
is
I'm
so
sorry,
great.
Oh my God, that was just you
if
feel
you
it.
want talent in something, you hire a Sedaris. It's been proven for the last 30 years.
But
Man.
that was such a powerful
They're-
freaking
they-
moment.
they
in
got a
that
brand
show.
going.
And
Yeah,
it,
they
it,
got they got a brand going. Those Sedarises have a brand going.
what I'm saying is that scene goes on to explain a lot about her character because she is very persistent. She never quits, and she sees any small personal failure as a disaster.
She always stands on her feet.
And yeah, it's really sad to watch her go through that shit.
Oh, I get it. She's
Yeah.
a cat.
Yeah,
Oh, that makes sense.
never got that.
Well, they always land on her feet part. Like that's the reason. I'm like, oh, that's why she's a cat, because she always lands on her feet, even though she didn't.
Well,
this
they
episode, I should've known.
they do just throw so many animal puns at the screen just at any given point in time.
It's really hard to keep
It's
up with all of them.
ridiculous.
It's just frustrating to watch her be constantly unhappy with herself.
It is.
That is her ultimate flaw.
She's the character I can't stop rooting for, even whenever she does something
Yeah.
I don't like.
Oh, absolutely. I used to think Diane was that way, but no, now it's Princess Caroline.
No,
Princess-
Diane is like
She's
as the series has gone on, Diane has gotten to the point where like I feel like she's not happy, so she has to make others not happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think is she scared of being happy, or does she just not know how to be happy?
I think it's a little column A, little column B.
Oh, well, look at that from earlier. There we go.
That's a callback from this very podcast. Yeah, I don't know what it is with Diane, to be honest. I don't think she's happy with anybody or anything.
I think she's so idealistic and young that she's just now coming to terms with the fact that the world doesn't go the way she wants it.
Well,
seems like
that's kind of what happened the past couple of seasons. She's
Yeah.
she's there now. She's
She's
like,
understood that.
yeah.
She's dealing with
I
it.
think this season really solidified it, especially with the fucking end. I'm sorry. It's fresh in my mind.
we did just watch it, and we did make you wait to finish it
You did.
until like an hour ago.
No,
so
we
you could
did.
be
We
fresh.
You
we had an
bastards.
agreement.
We had an agreement.
You bastards.
But you know what else happened in this episode?
A lot of stuff.
This
What
is
happened?
whenever. Okay, so Diane has the idea to spruce up the script by making the motorcycle scene more exciting.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Peanut Butter insists on doing his own stunts, which
Because
makes BoJack have to do his own stunts, because otherwise people will like Mr. Peanut Butter even more than they already like him over BoJack.
And he's already fired his stunt man, and it was in front of everybody.
And it was really bad
Really bad. So Princess Carolyn's going to have to fix it, and she doesn't fix it because she's in South Carolina.
off reminiscing about the past and trying to adopt a baby.
Yeah, this young woman has a baby.
Which
and
we
wants-
kind of just got lost in the reminiscing about the past thing. Forgot to bring
Yeah,
that part
so
up.
so basically the episode's Princess Carolyn going back to South Carolina to her hometown, talking to a young pregnant woman. She may be eligible to adopt the baby while she reminisces about her past.
But she's got an interview and the mother has to agree and all that.
Yeah.
So that's what she's doing back in her hometown, which sparks all the memories. But back in Hollywood, they're gearing up for this stunt that was ultimately Diane's idea. There's a great scene where Diane
I
has
love this
Princess
scene.
Carolyn on the phone,
Yes, this is a great scene.
and she's trying to get Princess Carolyn to pitch it to Flip, and she says no. Well, the thing is if you're trying to get somebody to do something you want them to do, you have to convince them that it's their idea.
I remember watching this with you guys, and we got into a debate about this. Well, not a debate, but a friendly conversation of, is that doable? Can you do that? And is that a good thing?
Oh yeah, that's absolutely doable.
Yeah.
You definitely can do that.
Like
And-
Aaron, you
and-
had some experience doing this, right?
And yes, it
Yeah,
is.
I think
and
it-
yes, it is
I
a
think
little
it
bit
comes from
manipulative.
is
yeah.
the right thing to do comes from the motivation of why you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're doing it because you know this person is maybe self-destructive and you can convince them to not be self-destructive, then absolutely it's the right thing to do.
That's what a lot of it comes
Yeah.
down to, is
But-
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it
Still
also depends on
manipulating a
like if
person.
you're trying to get something out of it. Like it's always it's a
Also-
fine line you gotta fucking
Also,
It's
is it
a
a
fine
good
line.
is a good skill to have, like in business?
It is a
and
good
life?
skill.
Definitely
It's a
is
good
for
skill to
that,
have
yeah.
because if you need it in a pinch, like if you need
It's good to know how to convince somebody it's their idea.
if you need to negotiate because there's somebody that is
Okay.
about to do something crazy
That's
and
a-
violent, you fucking need that.
I'm just
Yeah.
trying to figure that out myself in
So
life, I guess.
so that happens. That happens. The motorcycle stunt becomes way more dangerous, and then Princess Carolyn gets a phone call that BoJack has just hurt himself pretty severely,
fall off the roof.
falling off the roof from the
Onto
motorcycle onto a car. And now he's in a hospital bed, hopped up on painkillers, and he thinks his bed is a train.
Yeah. And they play it in the moment like BoJack's just hurt.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's the
Nothing
big
out of the
thing this-
ordinary.
nothing out of the ordinary. This has happened to
Looks
BoJack
like he's
before.
gonna be okay.
Yeah, he's gotten hurt.
He's
been in
hopped up,
situations.
but he's really hurt. So of course he's hopped up.
So it makes sense. And then as the course, this is getting a little bit ahead of ourselves before we get to the next episode, but
Well, this is the entrance into the
it's the
second
interest.
half.
Yeah.
This
This
fucking season.
ends up being the catalyst for the whole season. When they just the beginning of it's just
Yeah,
written
we don't
off.
know that yet.
Just that
Yeah.
dark,
We don't know
the
that.
dark black void that is the second
He
half
just-
of this season.
He just got hurt. That's all that we know.
That's
He
all we
just
know.
got hurt.
And then the next episode's the eulogy, right?
He gives a big long eulogy.
It's this. Okay, so I can't
After
remember.
after we get a little bit of a eulogy from his dad about wanting to be William
not
S.
his
Burroughs
dad. Yeah.
or Allen Ginsberg or some shit. Yeah, then he just launches into this funeral and talks for about 22, 23 minutes, something like that.
Yep.
And man, just shout out to Will Arnett because he just kills it.
He just kills it. This is a fantastic
Hey,
scene.
at least
I don't.
he got a free churro out of it.
He got free
so-
He
churro
got
out
a
of
free
it.
churro out of it.
He's reminiscing about
His mom died,
he's
and everything's worse.
contemplating his death. He's contemplating his father's death, which happened 10 years before his mother's death. It's not that he doesn't feel something. He does feel something, but it's classic BoJack doesn't know how to interpret these emotions appropriately.
Because he never got satisfaction from anybody in his
No,
life.
and now he knows
Nope.
he never
he
will.
never
Never will.
will. Oh my gosh, that's the worst,
Just like-
saddest part about it.
Just like Becker.
I don't know any show who has done anything even close to that where it's basically a monologue for 20 minutes.
Oh man, just
Nope.
so bold.
Plays, yes. Television? I know it's Netflix and we have to worry about commercials, but damn.
Damn.
No, I don't. I honestly don't think they've ever done
think
anything with
anyone's
just
done that.
one person talking the entire time.
With
And,
a little bit of help from the Oregon guy who doesn't quite get it.
and this, yeah. he doesn't
He's
quite
trying his
get. He
best.
doesn't quite get comedic timing, and whenever he does, it's accidental.
But no, that was it. I agree that this is
It's so
very
bold.
It was phenomenal.
And
it was
this is
new.
a show that that has done so many bold episodes already.
The
Like
underwater
underwater
episode.
episode.
That's you. That was the catalyst that we always reference for
That's
the
the
longest
one
time.
now. But now there's free churro. Now there's the underwater episode
free
and
churro.
there's free churro.
Yeah.
I want to say this is my favorite episode.
Just an episode that's no talking and an episode that's all talking.
Wow, this
Actually, it makes sense why Raphael bob-waksberg. Did I say that right? I feel like I said that right.
Close enough. We'll give you the point.
All right, points for trying. It makes sense that they would do this. I don't know about this season, but that logic makes sense. Well, they don't talk at all, so now we have to do one where it's nothing but BoJack talking.
Yes.
BoJack would love this episode. He talks the most.
Yeah. That narcissistic.
But it doesn't. But he still gets no satisfaction at the end. That's the thing. It's like
not
supposed to be a
going
cathartic moment.
He can't get no.
It's supposed to be a cathartic moment, and he's sitting there pouring his heart out. And at the end of the day, he's just like, "Well, nothing is better. It's actually worse." Yes, no, I will say that is my favorite episode of BoJack Horseman so far. Is Free Churro.
Oh man.
And it's hard to say considering the showstopper.
Showstopper stops the show, but we'll get there. The next,
We're almost there.
The next episode is Ent Sub, which of course.
Oh my God, it's up.
Ent Sub, which of course is script shorthand for interior and probably submarine, based on the context of the episode. And this one is so cool because it's the one where Diane's therapist is sitting down to dinner with her wife, and they're both talking about their respective clients.
Yes. So there's these two characters we're introduced to right at the beginning. One's the therapist. One's
well, we've met the therapist before.
Oh, we have? Okay.
Just because we've seen Diane go to
It's
the therapist.
Diane's therapist, and she's meeting with her wife, who's a mediator, a corporate mediator. Mm-hmm. The therapist is played by.
She works for whatimeisit.rightnow.com.
Yes. The therapist is played by Issa Rae from HBO's Insecure, which is a fantastic show.
Oh, nice.
And her wife, the corporate mediator for whatimeisit.rightnow.com, is played by Wanda Sykes. Biggie Shorty herself.
Biggie Shorty.
Biggie Shorty.
Oh man.
Wanda Sykes.
She's here too.
She's gonna give Pootie the love that he needs.
So they're at dinner and they're trying to talk about their day, but because of the types of job they have, there's a little bit of anonymity. Did I say that right? Yeah, close enough.
Anonymity, yeah.
Thank you. There's a little bit of that happening, so they have to make up names for these people they're talking about.
Yeah, because of the client privilege, they're not allowed to say anyone's
Yeah, they can't
names.
actually say it, and they're not good at it. But
the therapist is a little bit better than. The therapist is a little bit better than the mediator.
Well, this thing happens where the therapist kind of starts to introduce his ideas that are a little bit outside. Like when talking about Diane, she says Diana instead of Diane, and then her wife's like, "Oh, Princess Diana."
Like Princess
of Wales.
Diana. So we start seeing the scenes unfold, but the scenes unfold, and we see the characters that they describe. So instead of BoJack Horseman, we get Bobo the angsty zebra. Mm-hmm. Instead of Diane, we get Princess Diana
of Wales. Oh, and the
gaseous cloud.
Well, that's for the mediator.
That's the mediator, Wanda Sykes' character, really embraces
Mr. Chocolate Hazelnut Spread.
Yeah, she really embraces the silliness of the storytelling device. So she's like, Mr. Peanut Butter is Mr. Chocolate Hazelnut Spread. Todd is.
I don't think Todd's in her story.
No, yeah, it has the gas.
Flip, that's a different story.
Okay,
it is. But the director Flip, the director Flip is one of my favorites. He's now Flippy the dolphin.
And he's just a dolphin who screams all the time, but the subtitles are there, and even the subtitles are pretentious. If I write like that ever in the future, Sam, and I start sounding like that, just shoot me like a dolphin.
Oh yeah, like a dolphin.
Like a dolphin.
And then Gina, Stephanie Beatrice. Gina, her character in the story is just named Gino and now has a mustache.
Yeah, it's really lazy.
It's very lazy. So that's their story. And then and one of my favorite parts of this episode is whenever it goes into the opening credits. Like the intro song.
Oh yeah.
One of the best parts of every episode.
Can we make this point real fast? We talk about this all the time, and then you can get back to the point you're finishing. This
Yes.
is the one Netflix show where I'm pretty sure it's agreed upon. None of us skip the intro.
Oh, I never skip the intro.
No, the music's great. It's the opposite of watching Friends on Netflix, where you always skip the intro.
Or Cheers.
Or Cheers one gets old after a while.
No, I always skip the intro.
It's like
Cheers.
up there with like Star Trek: The
70s
Next
show.
Generation intro. You always sit through it.
Just that 70s show. Always skip it.
So this intro.
Skipping BoJack's intro is blasphemy.
I agree. you always listen to Pat Carney and his uncle do their thing for a minute.
It's amazing.
And so whenever the intro starts, instead of seeing BoJack, you see Bobo the angsty zebra.
Bobo the angsty zebra goes through his day.
And you see Diana, the Princess of Wales.
Todd's got the hand, right? The
You
hand
do
face.
you do see Emperor Fingerface.
That's what it is, Emperor Fingerface.
Emperor Fingerface.
So it's Todd, but his head's a hand.
and this is in the mediator's story.
Yeah, this is the second
'Cause
story.
this is the meeting that went down at whattimeitrightnow.com.
Because Todd's character and Princess Carolyn's character have an issue with what was it? A piece of string
It
cheese
ended up being over a piece of string cheese.
that Todd couldn't find, and he thought Princess Carolyn took it, but they also,
You took that piece of string cheese.
even though it's a personal matter, he took it to corporate.
You tangled
mediation.
fog of pulsating yearning.
That's it. She's
Todd
the
his priorities.
pulsating yearning, which looks like there's bits of yarn in.
Yeah,
I'm not
yarn.
really sure about that.
Get it? Yarn.
Oh, yarning. Oh,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
This show's got layers.
Oh, the puns.
Mainly layers
Yep.
of yarn.
And for a second, she's in the other story as Priscilla Crustacean.
This-
which is,
For a minute,
she's
yeah,
a crab
they throw that in
person.
there.
This is
Funny.
the only show smart enough in its best moments to let me forgive all of the fucking puns they give us.
Oh
How
man,
dare you,
relentless,
sir? Thankful for
relentless.
I love the puns.
How
I
dare you.
love the puns, but
Real fast, my favorite pun. It's a visual pun. It's when Diane's on the phone with the Richard Branson type character in Cordovia, and he's like this philanthropist billionaire. There's all this warfare happening behind him, and then behind him is a foxhole, and there's soldiers shooting at something, and all of the soldiers in the foxhole are foxes. That's my favorite pun. I just want the world to know that. Now we can get back to the conversation. I apologize for derailing it, but it had to be said.
I really
Now
like
the
this
world knows.
one. I think it's in season 2 where there's a sheep who's mowing somebody's yard, like he's in a lawn care service.
Yes.
And he's mowing the lawn, but he doesn't have a bag on the mower. It's just shooting the stuff right into his mouth.
it's amazing.
It's just
There's one in the last episode when they're at that restaurant, and there's a couple of runners who just did a marathon in the back booth, and they're all turtles. So it's turtles running a marathon, and they all decide to cheers with champagne because they just ran a marathon, and the time it takes for all three of their arms to get to meet in the middle is excruciating.
oh man, I missed that one.
That was a good one. I'll point it out to you next time we watch it.
I missed that
It's
one.
Last
amazing.
episode.
It's amazing how much they pack into the background itself. Like you gotta watch them over and over again to catch every joke.
Stella.
That could be a full-time
Stella.
job, throwing puns in the background.
Corona
Oh,
Light.
I'm sure somebody gets paid to do it.
If I was running a TV show and I just had a dumb amount of money, I would hire a guy whose entire job was to do just that one thing. Just so gags in the back. He has no contact from anyone else.
That probably is
Call
just
it
that
gags
probably
in the
is
back.
just a department that somebody has.
Someone
Like
had
that's what
to
they
have done
do.
that.
So
Back to
Okay,
the
yeah.
episode. I apologize
Back
for
to,
derailing
back
it.
to the
but-
situation
Oh.
at hand.
perfection is perfected. So you're gonna let them understand.
All right, well, you're done with the giggles. You can get back to your point.
Oh yes, always with the giggles.
Always with the giggles.
So apparently, BoJack's been throwing a Halloween party every single year for 25 years.
And BoJack doesn't realize this any year.
Well, he knows that it happens, but he never does anything to plan it. It just shows up at his house.
Yeah, so the first year it's an accident.
Okay, well, what it is it's always been Mr. Peanut Butter planning a party and then bringing that party to BoJack's.
Don't you wish you had that friend who did that for you so you didn't have to plan
No.
a party? Yeah, me neither.
No, I don't want that. But Mr. Peanut Butter is, like always trying to do fun things like throw parties. So what started with a miscommunication because BoJack definitely didn't want to hang out with Mr. Peanut Butter at his party one year for Halloween back in the 90s.
Oh, back when he was on a famous TV show.
Right.
Yeah, gotcha.
BoJack the horse.
Is it
Um,
the horse from Horsing Around?
BoJack the horse. Don't act like you don't know. So he uses that line to get out of going to the party, and then Mr. Peanut Butter shows up with his then wife Katrina,
Yep.
along with the party that he was throwing,
Mm-hmm.
just figuring that they can combine the parties. And he's like, "Oh, and your party doesn't have much going on. It's a good thing my party showed up." Like
Which
typical Mr. Peanut Butter fashion.
Mr. Peanut Butter. Now, this is an episode that jumps around in time, but a lot of the scenes on this particular Halloween party in '93, you start to see BoJack drink a little bit more
Right.
than usual. So besides the whole his parents were alcoholics, which is obvious, this is a bit of a trigger for him.
And you notice
going forward.
If you notice, like in some of the earlier seasons, you see flashbacks to before he drank at all.
Yeah, there's that weird scene which I have thoughts on. Of the first time he talks to Herb Kazaz about doing a TV show, and he does stand up and he's awful, and he doesn't drink then.
He's just so bad. Do you
It's
get
just-
it? Do you get my joke?
It's just bad '80s sweater comedy.
Do you get my joke? Do you get the joke that I made about
Yeah.
the sweater?
It's that.
It is really sad when you see how casually he treats drinking now, to like go back and see him when he was younger, and just the kind of behavior pattern where
Well,
he
we
was just
didn't-
like, he would just,
Yeah.
He really
Well,
wasn't that into it because
it's always
he saw.
it's always a process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I
Oh,
feel like
but-
this first flashback is the beginning of that process.
But
Yes.
you see but you see we didn't talk about it, but at the beginning of the season, like he's got those bottles marked, like he's allowed to have this much every day.
And it's like
Oh,
a
God.
shot's worth every day,
And
which
then-
is like a weird, fucked up process.
And then like I think in the first scene, like you see him take a swig, and then he waits 2 minutes until it's after midnight, then he takes another swig,
yeah.
and later on in the season, I don't remember what episode it is, but then you see that now instead of that system, he's got bottles in the freezer that are marked Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Which even
He's
then,
up, he's up to a bottle a day.
if I can confess a little bit, I want BoJack to succeed.
That what?
Just anything, man. I just feel bad. Because this character is captivating. We watched him for 5 seasons. We want to know what happens. I don't like him, but I want him to figure it out.
I think that's
And-
the point of this season.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think it's the point of the show. But by the time he gets to that thing you just referenced of, he makes this thing of, oh, I got down to a bottle a day. It's fucked up, but there's a little part of me
because he's up to a bottle a day.
up to a bottle a day. But
down
there's-
to a bottle.
well, at some point in the
I remember when he said that.
yeah, in the grand scheme of
Well,
things,
yeah.
he's down
At
to a
some
bottle
point
a day.
he was past that,
Yeah.
but he was down
You
to
know what's the-
lower, and now he's worked up to that.
There was a part of me that was like, oh, he's got a system figured out.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's progress. I want that to be progress. It's
I
really
mean,
not.
I mean, you,
I
but-
think
you
it's
want
more-
it to do, you want it to be, but it usually isn't.
yeah, like if one of you guys said that, I'll be like, dear God.
I think
Like, oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
think he more worked himself into a comfortable
Oh,
situation.
cool.
where
Good
he-
for,
that was good enough.
Good for you.
Which I think in some ways is kind of worse if you were just like, all right, well this will just be okay if I can just do a bottle.
It's never
day.
okay.
It's never gonna be okay.
But what's going on here is we see the first time that it happens, and that sparks a
All of it.
recurrence.
Yes.
I believe it's like 93 or 94 when that first
Yeah.
party happens, and then immediately we see, because I mean, like, it's not like we see the whole story, like it
No.
cuts. It goes
Cuts
Westworld
around
on
quite
us.
a- yeah, it cuts
And-
around quite a
Oh
bit.
God, it does. Oh,
It
it's like a
goes-
Westworld episode. It's
it
hard to
goes-
keep track of. And
Yeah,
and
and if-
I have a
and if-
headache at the end.
And if it's confusing and you don't get it, it's probably just because you're not
an
smart
idiot.
enough to
Yeah,
watch
You
it.
should understand art better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Fuck
But
you, Flip. Fuck
but,
you.
But this episode does the thing with Mr. Peanut Butter 4 times. Time jumps over Halloween.
4 different wives,
parties.
well, 3 wives and 1 girlfriend. But
Uh-huh.
then the next one it jumps to is, of course, if you can Jessica Biel leave it,
Sam, I know we're in your house, but I want you to leave.
is 2004 Halloween party
That was
with
painful.
Jessica Biel,
His
That was
second wife.
painful.
the second wife,
Who, props to Jessica Biel.
for just being so willing to make fun
Just
of
a good
herself.
sport.
Yeah, great sport.
Seriously.
The mummy, the mummy
she's great
bit,
talent.
that
The
mummy,
bit's-
that
the mu- the
mummy
bit's great.
bit is just,
It's
it's
priceless.
so good. Okay, so like you're traumatized because you didn't get a part. Yeah, it's the worst thing that's happened to me, Jessica Biel, at this time, 2004.
And there's so many things to unpack that we don't have enough time for that. But Jessica Biel's a good sport about this, and she's still talented, and
Oh yeah, she's
she's
one of my.
so good in this, and she's
when-
so good in a lot of stuff.
She doesn't come around a whole lot in the show, but whenever she does come around, I'm usually a big fan of it.
Yeah.
Like the Underground episode last season.
Oh yeah.
I really liked that episode.
But so that's one of the times that is the flashback of this with Mr. Peanut Butter, the Halloween party. The third time,
And that one is with Diane before they're married.
just when they started dating.
They've been dating for a while, but they are not married.
And this one's the most interesting because
And she hasn't met BoJack yet.
no, she hasn't met BoJack. It's right when they start dating. It's
No, they have been dating for a while, but
it's one of those things where Mr. Peanut Butter should have learned a lot from this situation because it wasn't a great situation for Diane, and that's not a good situation for him. And he either forgets or doesn't care about all the things that happened to Diane in this situation.
Well, she has a role to play as the girlfriend.
Yeah, but
That's why she's there.
she's also like hates parties and is
Oh, yeah,
uncomfortable and has she's the
No.
opposite of Mr. Peanut Butter in public.
Well, he's the ultimate extrovert. He doesn't understand how people like. How can you not like being out in public with lots of people and just yelling and having lots of fun? It's like, well, some people don't fucking like that.
Yeah, but there's
yelling.
people everywhere. The people love me. So.
And he can't understand how somebody could think differently than that. That's why because he's so wrapped up in his own moment.
Well, like whenever when somebody comes over, my dog goes right for the bone. She grabs the bone and she wants to run over to somebody and show them the bone that she's got. Diane is the bone.
Oh yeah.
So the bone's probably tired of it.
Well, that's kind of the whole point
Yeah.
of the episode.
And so when we get to modern day, it's this year where Mr. Peanut Butter goes to this party with Pickles, and they've been dating a few months. And
It's super fresh. Super fresh.
Pickles is a pug.
She's a pug. She's super enthusiastic,
Adorable.
super happy.
So
just
cute.
Freaking
so
Cute little
adorable.
pug.
Just way too cute.
Way too cute for her own
It's
good.
me, Pickles, the dog from before.
But I mean, like,
If you can't think of my name and you just remember, like, oh man, I'm sure in a pickle right now, or remember that my name is the thing that you're in with an S. That's one of my favorite gags of the whole
that's a
season.
good gag. But with the Pickles thing,
show.
it sums up not only their relationship a lot, but the whole episode with
Yes.
Mr. Peanut Butter is that he realizes that the mistakes he perpetually makes throughout his life, especially with the women he's involved in.
Yeah, because it introduces the theme of he keeps just going back for.
Well, he even says it. He's like, every time I come to one of these parties, like things go wrong. What's the common denominator? It's like
It's you.
it's you,
man.
It's
you.
fucking you.
You have a problem.
You gotta
nice
stop.
guy.
he's still-
You've
he-
got to stop dating women in their 20s.
He can't see it because he's so obsessed with this idea of himself
You've got to be
as a
45
good
by
guy.
Oh yeah, he's gotta be like 48.
Yeah.
He's probably 48. Golden retrievers look good for their age, but still, man.
But he's so obsessed with this idea of himself
don't
as like
crack.
I am the good guy. I play the good guy in all these scenarios, but
Especially on TV.
Yeah, he's just
and
so
movies.
darn likable, you guys.
that's the thing. Like he's just playing the good guy. He's not actually paying attention.
Yeah, and that.
I
Man.
think he's starting
So
to realize
much
he's
fucking-
not the good guy.
Just
Well,
there's
the audience is
The audience is
starting-
saying,
like
Hey.
yeah, like you wonder what else could there possibly be to unpack for some of these characters.
What
It's
could
just
possibly-
like all this. Look, all of this,
And
all
here-
of this shit right here. This is just for you to deal with now. You go ahead and have feelings about it. Yep. Those are the feelings.
That
those are
last
them.
episode was fucking cold as ice.
But before that one, Hollyhock comes to visit.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
that's,
my god.
that's a fun one.
In a weird way, it's its own bottle episode because it's the only one with Hollyhock. But that's when you start to realize, oh, that's what the season's about with BoJack.
Yeah, all of them are bottle episodes. Bottles of pain pills.
Hey Sam, can I see your hat?
So
Why don't you give me your hat?
this
Sam?
was a really good episode
Sam,
because we've
give
been
me
waiting
your
to
hat
see.
so I can hit you.
We've been
with
waiting
it.
to see Hollyhock this whole time.
So BoJack is back in action. He's out of the hospital. He's got a prescription for painkillers,
Which we didn't think was a big deal at this point.
which you didn't think it was a big deal, but it's starting
know,
to. At this point, it's starting
hurt
to
his
seem
back.
like a bigger deal.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit bigger. Like, oh, well, like BoJack's an alcoholic and he can hold his own. And he had a big accident. He needs to be
It comes
out
up
of
in the
pain.
free churro episode. In the free churro episode, he takes some. Like you see him taking pills.
Yeah, like a handful of pills in public, which never looks good.
And I saw some people talking about it, like on the interwebs, because he says like he's supposed to take 2 of these every however often, and then he pours some into his hand and takes them, and people
Chases
say,
it with scotch.
yeah, a
Yeah,
flask of
that's
scotch.
bad.
I
And
remember when he did that.
but if you look at his hand, apparently there's 3 pills in his hand, so he's already taking more than he needs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Needless
that
to
was that
say,
point.
things escalate quickly.
And so now Hollyhock is visiting. BoJack is still on the pain pills. They get into L.A. and Hollyhocks takes one step into BoJack's place
One step.
and looks around, and immediately like starts like having a PTSD flashback about being drugged by BoJack's mom last season.
Yeah.
He's like, it's okay, she's dead.
Yeah, it's fine. My mom's dead. She can't hurt you anymore.
Thanks, BoJack. You're really helping out here.
Really step things up. But then things escalate because Hollyhock sees a bottle of pills and immediately thinks, "Oh God, are those for me? Did you drug the pizza that we just ate?" Like freaking the hell out.
And she flushes them.
And she pours them down the sink.
BoJack's like, I need those. I'm in pain.
I need those for my back.
My back hurts. Dear God, give me pills now, please. I'm in pain.
And at this point, you believe BoJack. You're like, oh
Yeah,
man, he probably
I feel bad. Dude.
he probably
He's coming
needs
across-
those.
He's coming across as regular BoJack.
Yeah.
Which that's the problem. That is regular BoJack.
Right. That's the problem, is that this is regular BoJack. But no, like you believe that his back is hurting, and then that's what the pills are for. Is just because his back is hurting, and he just went through like some fucking shit. So like you're on his side, man. That's all I'm trying to say. You're on his damn side.
Oh.
At the beginning,
Then like after exhausting all resources and going through a like who's on first routine for I don't know how many times it is in the
with
series.
Doctor Who played like Kim Jong, who is Ben from Community.
Yeah, they just keep trying to get
You
pills
mean-
from like
you mean
disreputable
Chang?
sources.
Ben Chang.
Ben Chang.
Who brings up Ken Jeong's character in Community and calls him Ben?
I do. Because that's his name, man.
He's Chang.
He's obviously
name
suffering
is-
from Changnesia.
His
from-
name is
from
Ben
Changnesia.
Chang. He isn't going to be Chang. He's Ben Chang. Come on.
God, don't.
Come on.
All right.
I worked my way out of that one a little bit.
All right.
It's a no-hat-fly zone.
You
son.
worked your way out of nothing.
So, that being said,
Dan Harmon was here. He said Ben.
Dan Harmon would say a lot of things.
Dan Harmon would not shut up, and like I'd have to ask him to leave.
Why are you talking about a show?
Don't talk about Dan Harmon like that.
Move on.
He might be listening.
Only do this in a crowd full of people.
God. Oh God. So then, after exhausting all those resources in a Who's on First bit with Doctor Who, they have to go and find a drug dealer in the alley. And this is the one appearance this season of Meow Meow Fuzzy Face.
Cedric Arbro from Reno 911. He's awesome.
I love that guy so much.
Officer Meow Meow Fuzzy Face.
He's
And he
my
plays a
favorite.
narc.
He's my favorite side character.
He rolls in as a narc, hilariously dressed as a narc, and after
like a
so many,
skateboard.
it's like one of those like BoJack style comedic like. It couldn't be more obvious that he's not like a kid trying to buy drugs, but then that happens and BoJack's not able to buy drugs and him and Hollyhock are running away. But it's really just a joke.
Silly thing.
Well,
It's
a
a
lead-in
silly
for
joke.
the
That's
fence
a lead
scene.
in for the fence.
Yeah.
So that we can see BoJack jump the fence, and now we know that his back is not hurt.
Well, he throws her over the fence 1st, so obviously his back is fine.
Yeah.
And she calls him out on it like almost
She sees it
immediately.
right away.
No, it's adrenaline.
So this was the first hint of the first obvious hint anyway of BoJack has a serious problem. Besides the entire series of the show,
Thank you, opioid
which is
epidemic.
BoJack has a big problem, and his name is BoJack.
And to me, the end of this episode is where the series just got so goddamn real.
Oh man,
First of all, like after that, him and Hollyhock have a really hard talk. And Hollyhock is just like, look, I care about you, and you can't be doing things like this to hurt yourself. Like, you can have the pills if you need the pills, but if you don't need the pills, you can't have the pills, okay?
So don't take them unless you get hurt.
So don't take them unless you get hurt. I love you. And of course, BoJack is not able to say that back.
He
because
wants
he's
to.
BoJack. He can't even say it to his
And you
sister.
can see it in his fucking face. He really wants to.
You know why?
But he just can't.
You know why? Because his parents never said it to him.
No. Oh, that's
He doesn't know
absolutely
how to
true.
accept love because he's never been shown it. Not really.
He doesn't know how to emote.
So what does he do?
So
Sam, tell
the
us.
very
Take
next
us away.
sequence after he drops her off, he's sitting at a red light. He just sits there anxiously, like maybe he's about to relapse and take some more pills, but that's not what he does. He just drives straight into traffic.
Yep.
And the episode ends.
It's T-boned.
Smash. That was fun.
simultaneously, while his show is not only finished, it's become a hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. The show Filbert
Yeah.
about a renegade cop dealing with the death of his wife and his partner.
Season 1 is wrapped, and it's the first episode is about to premiere in LA, and the early buzz is very positive.
Yeah. So he kind of has a breakdown right before that, which is a good time to have a breakdown right before something as opposed to afterwards, because it will kill.
Well,
the
it does.
momentum.
It does another kind of like it does a little bit of a time jump thing. Like you see it's like a period of 3 months, I think is
Yeah.
what it is, or 2 months is
Something
what
like
it
that.
covers.
Whatever. Yeah, it's like enough time to cool down, everyone get their shit together, see what the numbers really are. the success of
You
the
see
show, and
you see
get everyone-
BoJack walking around with in a sling, his arms in a sling,
Yes.
so he could get some more pills. Him and Gina, like that's we haven't talked a whole lot about his relationship with Gina, but it's kind of a downplayed relationship in the
It is.
series.
It really is.
It's doesn't get him credit.
Subdued.
Because they basically it seems
Just
like,
like Gina's performance in Filbert.
yeah, it seems
Yep.
like a relationship of convenience at
Essentially.
first,
Right.
Because he sleeps with his co-star, and
It's
the
just
char-
convenient. They're
the
both
character
there,
Gina this is like her 37th pilot of this type of show.
and they're familiar with the environment whenever they go back to BoJack's place.
Exactly, they know exactly
They've
what it is.
practically been
So
there all day.
They start hooking up, and then very slowly you see like little windows of a normal. I don't want to say normal relationship because what's a normal
Well, the thing
relationship,
is that BoJack really does like her,
but yeah,
but BoJack doesn't know how to have a normal relationship with somebody. So the only reason that they continued seeing each other after the season 1 wrapped was because while him and Hollyhock were driving around trying to find pills, they stop at Gina's house, and Hollyhock breaks into her house
Oh,
Forgot about that
that.
scene.
looking for pills.
Oh,
And BoJack has to stall her at the door, and he does so by getting back together with her.
Yeah, it's a big romantic gesture.
Yep.
It's like, oh man,
Jesus.
No
that's-
one's ever
forgot
come back
about
for me,
that.
BoJack.
Oh, my gosh.
god,
Oh, I forgot about that.
oh, it's so brutal.
I'm so sad.
That's one
for
of the best
remembering
things
it.
about this season is there's so many things that fit into another episode later on or beforehand, and it's so interlocking.
And they've always been good about that compared to the standard television show
But this-
by interlocking
this season's-
everything. But
this
this
season
is just
knocks
like
it
this is
out.
like a masterclass of that.
Absolutely.
It's so good. I don't know what they're going to do for season 6. I have no clue. We'll get to
We'll
that
get
later.
there. We'll get there. We'll get there in a minute. We don't have far to go.
Oh, yeah, we better move. We better get the move on.
All right. So now like Filbert is premiering in LA. There's a big party for it. Diane was the showrunner. Or not a showrunner, like a script consultant. Is that what she was? Is that-
She was
yeah, script
she was a
consultant.
consulting producer.
Yeah, that's what it is. Something like that.
But she
Anyways.
basically wrote a lot of stuff.
Anyways, and she wrote a lot of stuff. A lot of things that is specific to BoJack's life have come through in the script, and BoJack is suspicious of that.
It's kind of forced BoJack to deal with things he wasn't ready to deal with otherwise.
Right, like I had forgotten about the tape, but there was the tape from the reporter from season 3. It was the beginning of season 3 whenever he opened up to a reporter about Penny from the end of season 2.
Yeah, that's a whole crazy thing. about
And
Penny.
Diane gets a copy of that, and she writes what BoJack said in that tape. She writes that into the script. That was back in Interior Sub.
This is also Interior Sub, which is the crazy episode of the wives swapping stories but couldn't use real names.
Right.
And this also begins the trend of the show BoJack works on crossing over more with his real life.
Kind of, yeah. The lines start to blur.
You don't really understand that, which is also slightly ironic because the show we're watching is also about his life, but also a TV show.
Right.
So it's like, it's like life imitating art to the third degree at this point.
Oh yeah, it's like that scene in Deadpool where Ryan Reynolds looks at the screen and like breaks the fourth wall and the fourth wall break.
Yeah. Oh, it's like 16 walls.
It's like 16
yeah, it's
walls.
like that. Fourth wall break inside a fourth wall break. Yeah, that one. Yeah. It's like that, but no one says it to you. You start to figure that out.
Yeah, it's just you're trying to keep up with all the things, and if it's confusing and you're not able to follow it, it's just because you're not smart enough to get it.
Not smart enough. I'm edgy. Don't you understand that?
Like I love how this show is able to like make that kind of meta comment about itself.
About itself, because it's good.
As
I really
it, as
thought
it happens.
with the character of Flip, the showrunner, who is the genius, who's too good for his own.
I hate
like
Flip.
safety.
I hate Flip, and he's great.
You know, would have been really funny, and as much as Rami Malek kills it, if the Raphael bob-waksberg, I feel like I'm saying that right.
That would have been fun, just because like it wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, if he did the voice, yeah, that would have
It
been.
wouldn't be the first time something like that happened. Like remember Rockets More to Life back in the day?
Yeah. The creator of that show did the Wacky Deli episodes.
Yeah. He was the kid,
show?
Ralph Bighead, the son of the
Big
Big
Head.
Heads. He was Ralph Bighead.
Did Wacky Deli.
So yeah, that would have been neat. But I still, I mean, I like Freddie
Freddie
Mercury.
Mercury did a great job.
No, it was he did
Man,
good.
That movie's gonna be so good.
He did good. So while this is all going on, like, first of all, Gina's performance is starting to get more praise than BoJack's performance. And people are saying that BoJack was really good, but they're like, wow, look at this girl, Gina. Like, Gina Cazador, she's just, where has she been the past 15 years?
She, into her perspective, she's due. She's
Oh,
been
yeah.
doing it for like 20 years.
Oh yeah,
now.
man. She's been working the circuit. Like BoJack struck gold with his first role he was offered in Horsing Around.
Yeah, it's the opposite of BoJack.
The
with her.
opposite of that.
She just
She's
does a new
been-
pilot every year, works her ass off. and
Yeah,
this one's
grinding.
finally gonna pay off after a long time.
Maybe they should do a remake of A Star Is Born.
Oh my God.
Again?
I'm sorry.
With Sextina Aquafina.
All right, I'm sorry.
Good God.
A whole another.
But I would
discussion
like
for a
to. I
whole
do want to
nother
see
day.
Bradley Cooper in this universe, just because I really hope he's a raccoon.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
I would just
Mainly
really.
because
That would
I
make
just-
me very
If
happy.
I ever
Oh,
meet
yeah.
Bradley Cooper, I just don't want to look up to him for any reason. I don't want to be tall. So raccoon will work out.
Yeah, those things.
That's getting cut. Jesus Christ.
All right.
What's the last thing we said?
It's like it's a big deal for Gina. BoJack's having a hard time dealing with it just at first.
Yeah,
Just at first.
because he's BoJack and he's jealous.
Yeah, he's narcissistic as hell. But he doesn't have time to really get too narcissistic about it just because Princess Diana of Wales confronts him about what she knows. She finally just gets sick of him dancing around what she already knows to be true and just is like, dude, look, you say it. I need you to say it.
This is a big moment for Diane because she's gone through so much crap in the show, and at the beginning of the season, she's super vulnerable, and she is so close to making bad decisions. Do you notice how?
Oh, she makes some bad decisions.
She
Also, I don't.
She kind of sort of. I don't want to say hits on, but she kind of drops like little things to BoJack when she's lonely,
Oh,
and
no.
she knows BoJack used to be into her in the past.
No, absolutely.
So when
she
they go
does.
to like Mr. Peanut Butter's parlor
Yeah.
in an early episode, and she's dressed real nice, she says things like, "Well, don't take advantage of me or anything."
Oh yeah,
It's just like.
but of
weird,
course,
messed
but
up
but
cries for
BoJack
help.
just thinks that it's weird right away, and
Yeah, and it is
so,
weird.
um,
But she's starting to figure herself out, but it just
but
BoJack's tangled in
but
that.
all that said, like here's the thing: she's not wrong about anything that she says,
No, she's not.
but like I don't know that like she's right for saying it. You know what I mean? Like
Maybe
it's not her fight necessarily. It's another instance of her picking up the stick that isn't hers.
I don't know. She's so wrapped up in what's going on with other people and everything. Like
Because
I mean,
she
her-
chooses to inject herself
but
into
she's
other
also,
people's
like,
lives.
Even her livelihood, her career.
Is built around
you know, other
takedowns.
peop- No, no, not just that. She gets to that point, but it's built around two people: Mr. Peanut Butter and BoJack. She writes the book about BoJack. She gets gigs from.
But that
her
wasn't the
boyfriend.
first. That wasn't the first ghostwriting book that she wrote. Like she had a whole career
True,
back
so,
then.
like, she gets more recognition
There's
on
that
one.
example of that guy, the leopard guy in Africa or whatever.
That could have been a
What was
great
his
Yeah.
thing for her.
That could have been a thing,
Yeah,
but,
but
but
she
she ended
saw
up
that-
wallowing in self pity.
Well, she saw that he was just doing it
He
all
was-
for himself.
yeah.
So I don't
he
know
was
if
just as
Diane
bad.
Can get better without addressing the issues she has with other people
She
because
keeps being-
so much
no,
of her
no,
life
no,
has been
no.
tied up
Like
with
like
other stuff.
that was a point that I was making earlier when we were talking out there. Like she's in a place where she doesn't know how to be happy. So of course she just has to bring down whoever she can bring down in the process, because if she can't be happy, then these people don't deserve to be happy.
Well, she's obsessed with people that are self-aggrandizing, people that like make a big deal about themselves, and like they do it in different ways.
She's never done that about herself.
But no, absolutely she does.
Yeah.
But she
Well,
does
she's
it.
starting
She
to.
does it via other
No,
people.
like the point that I'm making is not about the message that like she's carrying. It's about the motivation behind the message. Like
Yeah.
she's not doing it because she's a patron saint and like she's out to make the world a better place. She's doing it because she needs to have her voice heard, and this is the thing she can yell about.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. I mean, there's no other way to explain her character than that basically is it. And
it's harsh.
It is. It's rough, but that's who she is. That's the kind of person she wants to be.
I don't think she wants to be
No,
that.
she wants to be that good person.
She wants to be that good person. She's just doing
She
this.
thinks this is the way to do it.
Well, I
Yeah.
think at the end of the season, she kind of figures that out about herself, and she's just like, when she stomps on that cigarette, it's kind of like a
Right.
fuck that noise.
She's done
That
so
was
many
a-
things.
like
that was a good-
I'm done with this.
That was a-
Stomp
that was
this
a
out
really
and
good
walk
scene.
away.
She's done
That
so
was a
many
really
things
good
that are
scene.
comfortable and seem like the right thing at the time,
And this-
even though it seems she has her issues with it. And I think she's finally done doing that, and she's just. I feel like in future episodes we're gonna see more of a Diane who's just doesn't put up with the shit and figures her own stuff out.
I hope so. I
Yeah,
really
me
do.
too.
Fantastically does a great job with whatever she does to be her best self.
Because
I,
if they
I want to root for Diane.
if
man,
they
I
just
do.
regress her,
she's too smart, man, to not watch her succeed.
if they would just regress her, that's going to be so disappointing based on
Oh,
everything
man.
I don't
they've
see that
done.
happening.
I
here.
don't see this show doing anything of the sort.
Well,
because
here's
they
the
get-
deal, we've reached
If
season 5.
they haven't earned your confidence yet,
We've reached season 5. Even if
Yeah,
they go to season 11, we're in the middle of we're getting to that curve. Like, you know how you grade on a curve in high school?
yeah, like
We're at the
we've got
apex of that
we've
curve.
got a pretty
But they're-
sizable body of we got a nice catalog to
Yeah,
gauge
we're
on
fine,
at this
but
point.
if-
These writers are really good at diverting expectations, though.
Yeah, well, here's the
that's
thing. I
fine.
honestly never
And
really
when-
know
'cause
what
they
it is
actually
that I should
know
be
how to-
expecting
They actually know how to do it right.
with this show.
They actually know how to do it in a way that's not insulting to its audience. That actually treats its audience as people that can evolve and change and expect new things in the future. All right, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So we're talking about what episode we're on?
before we move on, I just want to say, kind of in that same vein, I'm sick of this show having the big cult following that it does, because it's a cult following. It's not like it's a mainstream smash sensation.
Oh, it's all been word of mouth.
But it still has a pretty sizable cult following, and the Emmys just happened recently, and Netflix actually had more nominations than any other studio, any other network.
Nice.
You know how many times BoJack Horseman was nominated for something?
0.
You
what's
gotta
gonna-
be fucking
okay,
kidding
okay,
me.
okay. You know what's
0.
going to change that? Wednesday, September 26th. If it's past this recording, which I think it is, by the time we decide to release that, then you're behind.
Are we gonna make the change?
Reruns are being shown on Comedy Central, so
What?
the public are going to see.
Nice.
Not only is it the public
Wednesday,
is
September 26th, reruns on Comedy Central.
reruns on Comedy Central of all of it, so not only are you going to get
Everybody go watch BoJack
being
Horseman.
released to the public.
That's huge.
Dude, that's the first time a Netflix show has ever been shown on a cable TV.
Oh, BoJack is the first one?
It's the first one.
Oh my god.
It's amazing.
Everybody go.
Oh
So now
my
everyone's just gonna
God.
turn it
Everybody go
on in
watch
waiting
BoJack
rooms and
Horseman.
whatever, and they're gonna catch just silly jokes from time to time. If they
People
pay a little bit
better-
more attention. It's gonna be a
this
little bit
is-
different.
This is the show that deserves it. I'm happy to
Yeah.
hear that. I do hope that changes it, man.
That
'Cause,
makes me super happy.
I mean, I don't think that this show's put out a bad season.
All right, so with the last 2 episodes of the season, we get to basically, even those 2 episodes, it feels like one long companion piece. And the first one's called The Showstopper. And it does this lovely thing of blending BoJack's world with the show that he works on. And BoJack is struggling to decide what is real and what is work.
Well, I don't know that he's trying to decide what's real and what's work.
Well,
He's
not good
just
at it.
he's just drifting through the episode in a haze, which I mean we've kind of been figuring out that he's been spending a lot of the last half a season in a haze.
Yeah, and this is the thing that really solidifies for you when you realize, oh, those few references to pills that people were made no one made a big deal about, and then someone brought it up. Oh God, this is the season. This is it. This is the big problem. BoJack's addicted to pills, and it's affecting his life in tremendous ways, worse than his alcoholism or his ego.
Because
ever did.
well, first of all, what's happened is that the first season dropped. Like they had that premiere for the first episode, and then it was like that night at midnight the first season dropped. Oh, which by the way, going back to that one, there's something that Diane says that says a lot about what this season's trying to do. Like like because BoJack's giving an interview and he's talking about when the character Filbert clicked for him, and it was like he realized that Filbert's a bad guy, but he's supposed to be a bad guy. Like you're not supposed to be rooting for him.
Yeah.
He's terrible, but everyone's terrible, and that's okay.
So you're saying that's kind of what the point of the show is?
Well, that's what set off Diane.
Oh yeah.
Is that's not okay.
That's not okay. Which a lot of people use in their real life to justify their shitty actions.
Right, and she doesn't want she can't have, if the show is in fact about that, she can't have that show going out because she doesn't want a show that has her name on it making shitty people feel okay about being shitty.
Yeah, I mean that's the flip side of the coin of, well, it's when people complain about television shows and how they feel, they're like, well, I don't like that guy. And then some people go, well, you're not supposed to like this guy.
Right.
But that's the flip side of that coin of, well, then that's a problem for these reasons.
And it becomes a meta reflection of this show because you have to ask yourself, it's like, okay, well, BoJack isn't likable, but do you like BoJack? Don't you still kind of root for BoJack? Does BoJack help you feel better about being shitty? Like,
it speaks to BoJack's life. It speaks to the show he's working on. It speaks to
the show that we are watching.
Yes.
Yeah. Like that's just, it's insane.
Oh,
the level of writing that these people achieved.
It's impressive. And so they get to the point where they're filming season 2.
Because it was received so well that it immediately got greenlit, and they immediately go back to work on season 2.
Which by the way, I don't know if we mentioned this, aired on whattimeisit.rightnow.com.
We've mentioned What Time Is It Right Now a few times, but we haven't gone into why is What Time Is It Right Now.
It's the website the show airs on, and the business of the website is run by Todd. He fell into it.
Yeah, Todd fell. Yeah, we didn't talk about that at all.
No, let's just mention it and move on.
The Todd CEO storyline.
Yeah, and now he's CEO.
Well, no, he's not the CEO. He's the executive of sales or something like that.
Something like that.
And then at some point he builds the best character since Vincent Adultman by the name of Henry Fondle.
Oh man, Henry Fondle. So let's talk a minute for Henry Fondle, and we'll get back to the episode.
Well, he gets created because Todd wants to be in a relationship with Emily because it's his best friend and his favorite person in the world.
But she's sexual and he's asexual.
And that's a problem. So he builds a robot.
A sex robot.
A sex robot.
With just all the sexes
robot
popping out of
sex robot.
every
sex
direction.
robot. That's all I can think every time Henry Fondle comes onto the.
So he creates Henry Fondle.
Shout out to Whitest Kids You Know.
Henry.
So Henry Fondle ends up being a thing for some reason, and then they.
It should just been one gag.
Yeah, he creates it. She's not into it, obviously, and then like you'd think they would move on, but like. But they don't.
It just keeps going.
He has to get up and go to work and work his executive job one day, and whenever he does that, Henry Fondle is just like, I need to come. Or something like that. Something that's totally sexual but can be interpreted as like
Look,
he wants to go to the office.
Long story short, Henry Fondle fails his way upwards into being CEO.
Into being CEO of whattimeisit.rightnow.com.
So yeah, and that's just the thing that happens. So this particular was it? How many episodes are there of season 12?
12.
So episode 11 is BoJack's reality blending with his TV show, and he can't tell the difference because he's. In the plot of the show, he's worried about being found out about what really happened between his partner and his wife, if they even exist. And meanwhile, being discovered for a drug addict, I believe. No. It was the thing.
No, he totally is a drug addict.
He's worried about the stuff with that girl's daughter. I forget their name.
In Arizona. Penny in Arizona.
New Mexico.
Yeah.
And so he's just ignoring his drug problem.
Yeah, he's he's running away from his drug problem. I'm pretty positive that he's very much aware of it, but he is running away from it.
He's sublimating all of these things he's terrified about, like the fact that he admitted that thing with that girl in New Mexico to Diane, and then the fact that he's going through this, drug addiction. Like he's sublimating it into the storyline of the show that he's in, and the story. And that's his way of getting away from it. He's distancing himself from it.
It's a project for him to be distracted by.
And then
that's kind of what it is.
The lines become blurred until he doesn't realize
what
he's actually
doing
in real life or when he's on set or whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, he does not know what he's doing. Like he's waking up, like he's driving his car, then he wakes up and he's driving the set car, then he wakes up and he's driving his car.
And then there was those weird shots where he would just take a bunch of pills and he would see like basically the pearly gates. That's what it seemed like to me. Like you know
The golden
I
staircase.
thought he
Golden
was
staircase
ODing.
to
I thought
heaven.
He was dying.
There was
Yeah,
a couple
right?
You
scenes.
see those staircases? You
Going
thought
home
he
to
was
Sarah
dead.
Lynn.
Like I didn't know where they were.
It's too much, man.
Yeah, I didn't know where they were gonna go with that.
Crazy.
But they don't go that far, obviously.
But they go far.
But
They go pretty far.
They go so
They go
far.
so damn far.
But no, BoJack does not die this
Because like
season.
it I mean, because like the show itself, it seems like it's a trippy show. It's like the character, the trouble detective Filbert is like drifting through consciousness, talking to his new partner Sassy, who's secretly charming him to try to get a confession about him killing his wife. But he didn't kill his wife. His partner killed his wife, and that's why he had to kill his partner. And then like the apocalypse happens in the show.
Yeah, but
Like,
some
what is
bad
this
writing
show
happens.
about?
And he thinks his dead partner has come back, but it's
Who
actually
Who is Mr. Peanut Butter?
It's actually him haunting himself.
Yeah,
and then
Fritz.
It's eventually revealed that he didn't have a partner at all. He actually killed his wife.
He killed his wife.
and then
like
his
Ghost has
girlfriend
created this whole
finds the
thing.
pills, and then
And that's
No,
when
BoJack.
Gina.
BoJack.
That's
His
when
girlfriend finds the pills in BoJack. Not Filbert.
in real world.
I mean,
in
where
real life.
where does it start? Where
in
does
real
Exactly, that's the
in
point of
real
this
life
episode.
in real life fake Hollywood world, Gina finds the pills for BoJack, and in the show, Filbert
Bo
is
Filbert.
Bo Filbert. Yeah,
Bo Filbert.
you know Bo Filbert.
One of my favorite characters.
It's he starts to realize that he was the one who killed his wife, but he never knew that.
It's
He
a
had
weird-
deluded himself into thinking that it was
It's like a
this partner that he created.
it's like a weird Fight Club.
It's one
type
more
of
one
thing
more layer
happening.
of sublimation
Yeah.
that this show just keeps
Yeah, it's
doing.
just like, oh god, nothing.
And for whatever reason, he's now like in the show. Filbert is choking his partner Sassy, played by Gina, and Flip says cut, but BoJack in a drug-fueled rage just doesn't stop, and
choking
the camera's just fixated for this whole part. It's on Mr. Peanut Butter and Princess Carolyn.
It's the
And they're
crew
just-
watching this
Yeah,
happen.
and just like,
It's
oh,
the
he's really
reaction.
going for it. Oh, I think he's really trying to. Okay, BoJack, that's enough, buddy.
And then Flip says, "Turn the camera back on."
Yeah, it's like, oh no, it's awful. Turn the camera.
Oh my God,
on.
Flip!
And also, I wanna call-
Oh,
scumbag.
dude, seriously.
I kind of
what a
want. I
piece
kind of
of
want to
luck.
call.
that guy.
If I may call shenanigans or something, when he tells the cameraman turn the camera back on, the cameraman hits a big button on the side of the
I
camera.
got so mad about that.
I got really mad
was
about
ado-
that.
it was
like 2 hours
adorable.
ago. I was
It
just
was
like,
adorable.
I was like, that's not how cameras work.
That's not how
big
cameras work.
We don't just hit a big button and
And then the
Point it
camera
somewhere.
turns on. There's a lot more to it
automatically-
than that. A lot more to it than
alright.
that.
So basically, BoJack chokes out his co-star, who's also his
in a
in
drug-fueled whatever.
And the next day, he doesn't even remember it.
Nope.
So this season does this thing that The Sopranos would do a lot. Like, let's say there are 10 episodes of The Sopranos. Episode 9's where like the big crescendo of drama and action happen.
This show does that.
And then episode 10, or the last episode of the season, kind of deals with the fallout of all that. So it kind of
Yep.
closes the story.
Yep.
And that's what I feel like episode 12 of BoJack does here.
That's what it does every year. Like
Yeah.
it's made it like a thing. Episode 11 has some crazy shit happen, and episode 12 deals with it.
That was the episode in season 3 or 4 where his tiny what was it, the young co-star that OD'd.
Oh, Sarah Lynn.
Sarah Lynn OD'd
Yeah.
in episode 11.
That was
yeah.
episode 11. The Penny situation. That was episode 11.
Oh, it was.
Oh yeah, everything just. So episode 12 is Fallout for
Yeah.
everyone. BoJack doesn't remember what happened. Princess Carolyn's dealt
Princess
with
Carolyn has worked out a PR situation with
some.
I forget the character's name. She was a chinchilla,
It was a chinchilla.
and that was hilarious. Biscuits something maybe.
Yeah,
Yes.
biscuits sounds good.
I think that was it. Yeah.
So there's that. Princess Carolyn's working that out. While it turns out she's probably going to adopt the baby of the young woman in her hometown.
Who
Sounds like that's gonna work out.
Suddenly
Sounds like it's
changed
gonna
her
work out.
mind at the last second.
But
Diane.
she's got to work out this PR situation soon.
Diane comes to a few realizations
do that
about
first.
herself, and she needs to help some people. Also, let's track back to Mr. Peanut Butter. By this point, he has slept with his ex-wife Diane twice.
Yes.
In two very like ill-advised, like just impassioned moments.
Impassioned moments, and he has not told Pickles, and he wants this relationship to work with
I think both of them start with them
Pickles
yelling
is
at each
25,
other too.
by the way. We find that out in the Halloween episode.
She doesn't have a clue. She has no idea what's happening. This poor child.
I mean, Diane's barely older than
That
her,
poor
too.
pug.
That poor pug.
Poor
Anyway,
pug named Pickles.
Mr. Peanut Butter. That's where we start to realize
So
what's going on.
takes her to
Aplenty.
dinner.
That's her full name. Pickles Aplenty.
He takes her to dinner to tell her
Confess?
to confess, and then she gives him those puppy dog
Oh,
eyes.
God, the puppy dog
the
eyes.
literal puppy dog eyes. And
Instead of confessing, he.
proposes.
So now they're gonna get married.
Because of course he does.
Because that's the best thing to do in that kind of
Because
situation.
Mr. Peanut Butter doesn't know
Just
how to deal with
double
emotions.
down on your lives.
can't deal with
He
emotions.
just knows, like he just wants to do a grand gesture to make everything all right.
It
And
was
you know
really
what?
fucked. That was
This
so
is where we
fucked up.
learn that Mr. Peanut Butter is
He's
a
a
bad
terrible
person. We
person.
finally, after 5 seasons, we realize he's a bad person.
It's been hints.
I
There's
sucks.
been rumors.
And he
Sucks.
can't help it. He
I
just.
don't want him to be a bad person. I want to like him.
I want to
too
like
late.
Mr. Peanut Butter.
can't.
He's
It's too
so
late now.
damn
Bad
likable.
person.
Is this the same guy who does Hollywood stars and celebrities? What do they know? Do they know things? Let's find out. Let's find out. And I think that it is,
Yeah, he's a bad
unfortunately.
person. So BoJack, Princess Carolyn fills BoJack in on what's happened because he doesn't remember because he's in a drug-fueled rage.
He was in a drug-fueled rage or something.
So during the PR stunt of
He
him,
actually, she hands him a phone, plays the video that was
yeah.
captured
Like,
by
oh,
the
crew.
people on set, the crew,
and he realizes what he did.
and just the look on his face,
Is
like
awful.
as he's
just
reacting
like,
to what
I'm
he
a
did.
horrible person. And during this, so they go to do the PR interview to squash it. He meets Gina there, who they were in a relationship. They worked together.
They were in
And
one.
They were in one. She's like, listen, this is the best thing that ever happened to me is this show. I'm not going to let you jeopardize that
And
in
I'm
any way.
and I'm not gonna live the rest of my life just being a footnote attached to you.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. So what's going to happen is we're going to do everything we can to squash this beef. You will never speak to me unless we're on set.
Yeah, we'll
And
be civil
this
on set. We'll be
show-
civil on our scenes.
This show has to work for me.
Yeah,
So we're just going to do this bullshit interview.
we're gonna be professionals and we're gonna do the shit, and that's gonna be it.
And
is
that's the last
it
you
for
see of
us.
Gina. Like
Well,
she struggled
for
through
this
everything,
season.
and
Well,
that's
because,
what she got to.
You know,
then
plot
they-
device. The whole network fails because of
And the show's done as far as we know.
Henry Fondle.
But before it does, but before all of that, just that interview sequence that we get through with Biscuits
that
and
was
BoJack
painful.
and Gina.
That was painful.
Yeah,
the part where Gina pretends to be like
pretend strangle him.
strangle him
And then they have
as
to
a
kiss.
joke, and they kiss, and it's just like, oh my god, this is awful.
It was hard to watch.
It's awful.
It was hard
It's
to
so
watch.
bad.
It's awful. And then they get done, and everybody's like, "Oh, great job, guys! That was wonderful."
And no one talks to BoJack, and he's just sitting there with his own feelings.
And then it turns out that the very unhelpful adoption agency person is the twin sister of the very unhelpful assistant.
oh, that's a fun little
my
little.
gosh.
I would call that an E story.
It's a quick aside, is what it is.
I love
like
their
like
throw-
A B
but it
C
is
D
funny.
E
They're
story.
throwaway
It's
gags.
really funny.
I hope they bring it back, but they
Oh.
probably won't.
Oh no, my medallion is actually the left side of the medallion, so it's
Yeah.
a totally different thing.
It has nothing to do with the fact that we're both abandoned twins.
Well, obviously that does happen a lot.
I do hope they bring that back, but it's probably just one of those
Nah,
jokes that
it's
they were just
probably-
like, fuck
yeah,
you. audience.
Probably
okay.
just an aside, and then that's gonna be it.
That just speaks
this
to the
show
writing
says-
of this
This
show.
show says "fuck the audience" a lot,
Oh
and I
my
respect
God, no
I
kid-
respect it more for
No
it.
kid-
We're gonna give you what
kidding,
you
really.
want and then take it away. So basically, BoJack goes to Diane and says, "Write a takedown piece of me. The show's canceled. It doesn't matter. I deserve to be punished.
I need,
Fix this."
yeah,
And
yeah,
it
I
did-
need to be held accountable, and she says, "No, there's no such thing as being held accountable. Like I'm
you
not
don't get
doing
to be-
this.
Yeah.
You don't get to be the bad guy, is what she was.
You
getting
don't,
at.
yeah, you don't get the satisfaction of that.
because there's no.
There's no such thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
So
no
what'd she
good.
do?
There's no good people. There's no bad people. There's just people. Some of them make worse decisions. than
So
others.
Diane grows in this moment,
Yeah.
and while simultaneously helping BoJack grows. So
Well,
after we dealt with Princess Carolyn gets her baby, Mr. Peanut Butter is a bad person and proposes
Proposing
to
them pickles.
Todd is off to another venture after ruining a company.
Yeah, he brings down
Actually,
the company.
he did his best, dude. He
Well,
really
I mean,
did
he
his best
really
for that
did.
company.
He really did try.
That was
even
not his
though-
fault.
Even though he forgot to sell ad space, and
Yeah.
he was the
Well, it's Todd. What do you
Pulled
want?
it. Pulled
he
a,
was the salesperson.
of
And-
mice and men moment
So-
at that end.
And Henry Fondle ends up like after some hilarious
Being put
just
down.
joke scenes.
It's a mice
he
mice
gets
and men
brought
moment.
down.
That's-
He
Dude,
gets
it's
brought
like,
down
it's like
for-
where the
yeah,
red
it's so
fern
good.
grows. He gets
It was
put
more
down.
like that.
He gets
yeah.
put down.
So he does that.
So no more Henry Fondle.
No
It
more
was a
Henry
good
Fonda.
run.
Diane gets in the car with BoJack. He's talking about a few things here and there. You see them riding along the coast. They're probably in Malibu. Diane takes BoJack to a rehab facility.
And he tries to talk his way out of it just one more time.
He's just trying to make the right decision, and she's just like, "You can't listen." He really says, "This seems too hard. Let's just leave."
Yeah,
We'll
he
figure it out.
tries. He tries one more time
Tries one
to
more
see if
time.
he can get out
And
of
Diane said, "Listen, you've been doing it your way for your whole life, and it hasn't gone. So why don't you go in here and see what they have to say?" And he's just like, "Is this gonna fix me?" And she's like,
it. I don't know.
"No, I don't know, but probably
I don't
not.
know.
It's gonna fix your drug addiction, but you're not. It's not automatic. This is work."
This isn't like a better person clinic. This is a place to not be addicted to drugs clinic.
Yeah. So you have a lot of work to do in your person when you get out of here, but this will help.
So hopefully we're moving forward to a better Diane and a better BoJack.
Definitely.
We'll
see.
see.
We'll see where it
This
goes
show
from here.
once again loves to destroy your
God.
expectations because it hates you.
I don't want to get too heavy into speculation, but there's a part of me that wonders if he even goes to rehab.
Yeah, that would be fucked up if the
What
first
the whole
episode is
season
him
in
like
rehab? The whole
he's-
season's in rehab.
he
One of
walks
the
up to
craziest-
the
What if the
front
whole
desk
season?
and
What if
runs
the whole
off.
season is he's supposed to be in rehab, but he just keeps finding ways out of it?
Okay, are we to the point where we're speculating about future BoJack?
Yes.
Because I have an idea.
Let's hear it.
You guys go ahead first.
No, I mean, no, that's it.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like,
I don't know if this will be for season 6 or the future, but I feel like BoJack, once he's done going through rehab and then through the growing pains of becoming a better person to try and become focused on what he wants to do, I don't think they have to do this. I just personally find this as a really cool idea. BoJack started as a stand-up comic and then got really lucky in the 80s with a stupid sitcom. What if he goes back to stand-up and becomes the old man who sits on a stool, smoking a cigarette, wearing a trench coat? Like, imagine Bill Hicks in his 40s and 50s.
No,
What if
see,
he does
here's-
that? Like
here's the thing.
like a Lewis Black type, Mark Maron type
Here's
of
the
angry comic
thing.
speaking truth.
Here's the thing.
I watched the hell out of that.
Here's the thing. I want that Netflix special. I want that
Oh,
Netflix
so like a comedy
stand-up
special of that? Yeah.
I do want that.
Yes.
We're not going to see that on BoJack Horseman because
not.
that's too ideal of a situation for somebody in BoJack's position.
Hold on.
And
Here-
BoJack doesn't get that.
Hold on. I mean, I'm gonna go halvesies on this one. I'm gonna say, I would love to see the episode end with Diane driving off, and he's walking up to the entrance, and he runs off, and just ends up bumming his way into like doing comedy shows at bars.
Oh, yeah. He
For
does
like a couple months, and it's just one episode of that. And so you get to
man.
see that
They
side
would
of
they
him.
would do that kind of thing too.
And I would love to see. I really hope they fucking
that's
do
not
that.
that's not far off from last year the episode of the Dragonfly at the Sugarman's old place.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he
oh
just-
yeah.
so-
That's
yeah.
not a far cry from that.
BoJack just goes on a tiny tour.
Yeah, he
of,
just
like,
runs off, just disappears from public
He's
life.
gonna play like the Dallas Funny Bone and just tiny little
Yeah.
comedy clubs.
And then
that
like
we just
maybe
sit there
they
and-
spend a whole episode like that, and the end of the episode is someone like finds him and they're like, BoJack, and it's like back in the 90s.
He's fallen off the radar so many times. He would have to fall off the radar again for this to work. But this would have to be the last thing he does.
Honestly,
So how many seasons they decide to go? This has to be-
honestly, I feel
if
like
continue,
they
this has to be one
should pull it back. They
Well, here's-
should consider an ending.
Well, they always like the characters are the characters continue to repeat the same like toxic cycles, but they're doing it in new ways, and the episodes are exploring this in new ways. And I don't really know that I expect anyone to ever get better, but I do expect the show to continue to find new and creative ways to show them not get better.
I would
I can see that. I just feel like towards the end of the show they might reach a little bit, go for more closure, depending on what season, however season they have. So at the end of season 6,
see.
you'll see that.
I think
If
maybe
it's season 10, it's
I mean,
probably much more. It's going to take longer to get to that point.
I remember like
so
stumbling upon this
season
show in the
10.
first season, and just like I never would have thought that we would be here at season 5 of the show.
5-6 years
Yeah.
later, dude.
Yeah, well, I think there were 4 years after the show premiering.
Yeah, I first heard of the show. I was working at a barbecue restaurant that was awful, and I hated the job, and the bosses were terrible, and we never had any money, and I was struggling to pay rent. And my buddy George, shout out to George, he's a bartender. You know George, long hair George.
Long hair George.
Long hair George.
Long hair George.
He was like, "Hey, have you seen this show called BoJack Horseman on Netflix?" And I'm like, "No, man, I haven't." I made some excuses.
Yeah, I'll get around to it.
And he's just like, "Dude, do yourself a favor, watch it."
Well, I'm pretty busy with Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
That show's gonna go on forever, so I gotta watch all that.
Me and Dana watched a couple episodes, and I was just like, "Oh, this is so depressing." And then you guys just pushed me to keep watching it, and I was like, "You know what? It was worth it."
You know, like it's a shame. It's a shame that it took us this long to get to this point. But shout out to Asher and Grace, who were not able to be here today.
Yeah,
Both big fans of the show.
They're huge in the show. They're out of town this week.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would have loved to be a part of the discussion, but
I'm sure they have plenty to say on BoJack.
I'm sure they do. But we got shit to do, so we we had to move on. Oh man, I'm feeling, man, this season was one of my favorites in season 1 and 2.
I would say it's the best season so far.
I enjoyed it so much.
I'm not ready to rank them yet. I'm not ready to rank them yet.
It's got the best episode. It's got the best episodes.
This episode hits so hard. It's so dark, but still so funny. It's.
I think honestly, the showstopper is the best episode of this entire series.
Man, we could just do a whole show where we just.
But we ain't got time for that.
Try to fight out what the best episode of BoJack is.
Regardless, great show, and everybody
Maybe
needs to go
another day,
watch
but not
it.
today. We actually got to wrap this one
Yeah,
up.
seriously.
Yeah.
I think that we've ran the well on BoJack season 5.
Man, you know what?
Pretty good up to this point. There's always more to say. So
We talked about this longer than we've watched some movies.
I mean, hey, we're talking about an entire season here.
Yeah,
too.
dude. I think we did all right.
It's 6 hours of content that we're trying to talk.
We did an
about
hour
here.
and a half. That's pretty good.
It's very heavily
You know,
packed.
I don't want to pat ourselves on the back too early.
Well, what if I pat you, you pat Aaron, and
But
he
I
pats
think
me?
this is the best podcast that we have. All right, but I think that is going to wrap up this particular talk on BoJack season 5. I'm sure that there's plenty more that we didn't cover. It's a lot of stuff that we were trying to get to. But hey, drop us a line, shout us some stuff. Maybe we'll talk more BoJack in the future. But in any case, my name is Sam.
I'm Chad.
And I'm Aaron.
And this has been another installment of Movie Night Autopsy. Thank you so much for listening. We're going to catch you next time.
What's up, crew? If you got any idea of what you would like for us to talk about on The Minute or on Movie Night Autopsy podcast, hit us up on the social medias. You can hit us up on Twitter at movie_autopsy. Check us out on Facebook at Movie Night Autopsy. Always feel free to email us, contact@movienightautopsy.com.